Welcome back to the Mr. and Mrs. Mr. Podcast Show. I am your host, Mr. aka Jeffrey Mr. And right beside me is my wife of 13 plus years, 2 kids, the beautiful and intelligent
Mrs. Mr. aka Dana Mr. And together we are the
Misters. Yeah. And today we are back part 2 of getting naked on sex. And so you may have questions about, hey, I want sex more than my spouse. What do I do? Do I give in more on their side? Do they give in more on my side? What do I do? Is oral sex wrong? What's the Bible say about it? Like, let's get into that. Let's get into talking about maybe you do a lot of other things around the house and your spouse still expects you to have sex with them at the end of the day or the morning or whatever time of that. What do you do in those cases? Many times these are conversations that are tough questions. Some people may have heard the questions I just read there and just cringed up in their seats and whatnot too. We want to say, hey, this is the space we're going to have an adult conversation about that. So if you have kids in the room, kids in the car, you may want to pause us right now and play us at another time. Also too, if you got your spouse, you may want to listen to this separately. You may also listen together and come back and have a great conversation about what we're talking about today. We want to get naked on sex, get very real on sex. And a lot of times this is the conversation that is needed to be had in many relationships and whatnot too. So if you're joining us for the very first time, where have you been? First of all, welcome to the #1 relationship and marriage podcast in the world, huh? So thank you. And if you're looking for us on social media, we're at mr.mrs.mister on Instagram. That's Mr. Mrs. Mr. and the Mr. and Mrs. Mr. Facebook. On Facebook, right? The Mr. and Mrs. Mr. podcast on Facebook. We're also on Twitter. And if you want to be a sponsor of the podcast, right? We got 2 kids, like you said, 2 kids. Right now, you can just email us or send us a direct message on social media. Email is themrandmrsmister@gmail.com. So thank you. If you have not watched episode 21, part 1 to this, where we dug into this piece there, go back and listen to or watch that episode on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast or you watch it on YouTube. We thank you. Appreciate those who have rated and shared. Thank y'all, Mr. Family. Those who have shared and dropped comments and likes and done all those great things to pass or just told a coworker about it, huh? Thank you. Right now. This is a conversation too, right? Last time we said, just to ease the tension, we said sex 7 times. You watched the video. We got off a date day, right? Got off a date day. She put me out the last time. So, did you put me out this time?
No.
You didn't put me out?
He said in the car this time.
She didn't put me out this time. So, I think, but we were talking about this episode and then just talking about just marriage relationships, and it's difficult to get those times. So, I'm trying to be more conscious of having those date days, date nights. What was your challenge? Do you remember?
Yeah, we both trying to work on the date days, date nights.
No, that was not your challenge. That was mine. I was supposed to take the ownership of that. Do you know what yours was?
But I end up planning the date, so it's all good.
No, I'm not talking about this time. I'm talking about what the challenge was.
I don't remember.
You said trying to
I mean, you caught me off guard with that question, but I don't know.
You gotta stay. If you stay ready, you gotta get ready. No, the challenge was you were going to own the initiation part of sex part, and I was going to own the initiation part of the date time.
That's right.
Remember that? Last episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, we still working on it. We still working on it. Has not been that long since then, so we still working on it. You got your part. I got my part. We're gonna work on it. Bow wow. There we go. Huh? So every episode we like to laugh, learn, and love. What is that, Dana?
Laugh, learn, and love.
What?
Laugh, learn, and love.
Say it like me. Come on. 1, 2. We're gonna see the thing. So 1, 2, 3. Come on.
Laugh, learn, love.
Come on. Pick it up.
Laugh, learn, love.
Talk about sex.
Laugh, learn, love.
On the Mr. and Mrs. Mr. Podcast Show.
Laugh, learn, love.
Pick it up.
Laugh, learn, love.
Getting real.
Laugh, learn, love.
On the Mr. and Mrs. Mr. Podcast Show. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And let's start the show.
All right.
So,
let's see. Go ahead.
Every episode, laugh, learn, love. What are we starting with?
Okay, we're going to start with laugh. What is the greatest slow jam of all time?
And so with this segment, though, this segment's entitled,
Whose
Side You're On?
Yeah.
Come from your dad for you. Get in there. Whose side you? Whose side you're on? Well, you decide on whose side you're on, Mr. or Mrs. Mister side. She's gonna read the question for us. Get the question one time.
Okay. What is the greatest slow jam of all time?
What's the greatest slow jam of all time? Oh, that's easy for me. What y'all think? What's the greatest slow jam of all time? What you think? No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Mine would be A Woman's Work by Maxwell.
Why?
I just love the song. It's a really nice song.
You gotta give us a. What about this? There's a lot of nice songs. What is about that song though that you love about it? That you picked
No, the last time I tried to explain myself, you told me I was talking too much. So I'm just gonna give my answer. It's Jeffrey's World. So go ahead. It's A Woman's Work.
Why though? You had to give us why. Thank you if you don't mind.
I mean, when I tried to explain the last
this
time,
time. We're talking about forgiveness.
I really love the song. It reminds me from it was played in Love and Basketball when it was the first time they was being intimate with each other. So I just think it's a really good song.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. Well, I went a different route. I went with. Let me see if I can play a clip of it. I went with the greatest slow jam of all time. You may be thinking, what is he thinking? What is going on in his mind? That's the greatest slow jam of all time. And here it is right here. Play a little small snippet of it. It is right here. Oh, let me go back right there. Hey. Adina Howard, T-shirt and panties. Dramatic pause. Why is that the greatest love song of all time? Thank you for asking a great question. It is because in middle school and high school, that was the mark of a man. Like it's the song for a woman that says, "Make you a woman." This is the song to make you a man. If you have not listened to it, it'll put hair on your chest. Adina Howard did a wonderful thing of that. She was blessed to make this song. And so it's a great song to have in that point. So Adina Howard, T-shirt and panties, flat out. Argue with me if you want to, but I think there's no argument anybody can have, whether it's Maxwell or whoever else you may be thinking. Because she went through a whole bunch of songs. She was thinking about this song. She had Whitney Houston's. What was the other song you thought about?
I don't want to take up too much time, so we can move on to the.
This is what a woman. We're gonna get this part to learn. This is where you see how we had a conversation before. We try to air this if we got it a little bit mixed up. We try to be real with this thing, and so she's upset because we had a conversation about this, and so just get to that point. So are you still a little bit upset?
I'm good.
Let me see your face. Let me see your smile. Let me see your big smile. When a woman smiles like that, it means that it's not okay. They typically say, a woman never says, "No, I'm not okay." They typically say, "Yes, I'm fine," but they change it up with their actions. Am I lying on that?
All right, and so moving right along to the learn
You're not
part.
gonna say nothing about that?
We
Okay, let's get to the question. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So basically, we want to address some questions that you guys have sent in for this particular segment. Question number 1. My husband doesn't understand that sex is not all that matters. I work and do all the things with the kids. He still expects sex from me at night when the kids go to sleep. Should he understand I'm tired, or should I still try to have sex with him?
What do you think? No, I want to hear your take.
Do you?
What do you think? No, it's a woman's point.
I definitely understand that. I definitely understand where you're coming from. I think as a working, that's what the song "Woman's Work." As a working,
is it work or worth?
Work, WORK, woman's work.
I always thought it was a woman's worth.
It's woman's work.
I'll look that up.
Yeah.
Oh, keep going.
But I would say that make sure you communicate to your spouse. And I believe, try to, communicate to him what your needs are. Your needs is, it seems like you want him to start spending more time with the family. So you guys can spend time together as a family unit, which is important, don't get me wrong. But also, what's also important is you guys spending together, just the two of you. So I believe, just communicating what your needs are. Your needs is you would love for him to spend more time with you and your kids. as well as, or you guys kids together,
Thank you.
and
I was about to say
then
her kids.
also, spending time with him one on one. And I was, just make sure you communicate your needs and explain to him, you are tired, you work, you're with the kids, you probably running, be a carpool person, probably run them all over town, trying to get them to activities and all those things. And it's a lot of responsibility that as a woman we carry, but you have to keep in mind they're still your spouse, and no matter how much he may because they do get on our nerves, but you
You
just
said
have
you
to
were
make
fat.
sure that you have to make sure you still addressing his needs as well. So I believe communication is
I love
so important. I believe it's one of the biggest downfalls of marriages is communication and finances. I believe it's like two of the biggest downfalls of marriage. I don't know what it is. I believe, just one of the things if I don't know if we're not taught how to communicate,
Yep. You can put your quarter there right there.
or we're afraid because we don't know how the other person is going to respond. But I get it, girlfriend, I get it. We are tired, we have all these things to do, so much responsibility, but at the end of the day, when you decided to take that vow, you decided that, hey, I'm going to address my spouse needs,
The yams.
and putting you're gonna put your needs, you're gonna put his needs above your needs and be more selfless, a selfless type love. So, and then talk to your spouse, and the men out there, understand that they're that my girls are tired, and so you may not be able to be intimate with each other every night, but she is going to make a effort to make sure your needs are addressed. And also keep in mind, sex is not everything. I think last week one of the things is how can you connect throughout the day to build up that anticipation. Whether sending each other love messages, or when that person walk past, or winking at them, or whatever it is, just to make sure, because it's beyond that. It's beyond just being. I think.
You ever smack me at the show? Is that you talking to the men and smack the women, or you talking about women smack a husband? Because you said explicit, especially you said smack them out the shower. Were you talking to the lady?
I think men or women can smack.
You smack me?
What?
I love that face. You see how she didn't even know this was gonna happen right there.
Right.
But so you saying for women to smack their men? I think, men, do we want to be smacked?
That's the question. Make sure you get a confirmation from your spouse, your husband, because some men don't you smack me?
Now.
Hold on.
Ball up, their fist
So make sure you communicate.
Pause.
Communicate that. But
So let me get my take on that real quick. Mine won't be too different than what you're saying. I think that most of it comes from just communication. I thought that was a good answer. I totally agree with that. And just being able to communicate, before you get to that moment, though. Because guys be like, hey, you could have talked about this beforehand. Don't say, oh, tomorrow night. Don't just say, oh, no, I'm tired tonight, tomorrow night. And then tomorrow night comes. I'm telling you what a man thinks. When you say tomorrow night, I've been in that place before where
he
she
literally
told me,
means tomorrow night.
Oh, no doubt about it. She's told me, not tonight, Jeff. Oh, I'm tired or whatever. Long day. Definitely. Definitely a long day. Tomorrow, oh, the yams. You can season them however you want them. I'm like, yes. So I'm working diligently the next day. Waking up early. Quitting time. Punch out. Go through. Hit the gym. Oh, pump it up. And I'm thinking, and I'm getting the kids to sleep quickly. Giving them chocolate-covered Benadryl tablets. Don't do it in real life.
We did not get my kids to do this.
But don't do that real. But getting them to bed, I'm folding towels, whatever I need to do. So when I come in at that nighttime, oh, best believe. I'm not doing that to get that, but I want to hold you to your word, because I know the Lord's going to hold you to the word of telling the truth. So women, you may need to apologize to your spouse now and say, ouch, oh, I have done that 87 times to him before. Or me and you may have done that to women too. So I'll be gender neutral on that. But really, if you say you're going to do it the next day, hold true by all means to get it in that next day. But do it with passion. Don't do it with here you go. You ask for it every day. Come on and get this. Or fellas be like, okay, here you go. You want some of this? You want the yams over here on this side? Here you go. Don't charity. Don't give charity sex to your spouse. Okay? They don't deserve charity spouse. Don't give them the soup kitchen scoop of the yams, right? Give them that quality yams when you first got together, when y'all was, ooh, you were ripping and tan. And getting right there and getting to that.
Okay.
So that's my advice for that young lady. Thank you for listening. Continue tuning in and tell somebody about the show. All right.
Okay. Alrighty.
Hope that helps. Second question. Second question is, all right, this is a good one. This is one I hear from a lot of fellas and ladies as well. Is oral sex okay to do when you're married? You hear that pin dropping there? People have come to listen to what's about to say next. Is oral sex okay to do when you're married? What does the Bible say about it? Good question. I see you're a Christian, so you listen to it. You want to get some insight on it. I don't know if it's a man or female. We don't tell your names if you ask the question. Is oral sex okay to when you're married? What does the Bible say about it? So, quick question. Have you heard of anything in any church or anything that has addressed oral sex before? None at all. I haven't heard much at all. I think this is pretty sure. If you were uncomfortable with the topic that we're talking about today, there's another level that most people have heard about. You're super uncomfortable right now, but you're listening because you want to know what's about to be said. So thank you for listening on right now. I remember coming up, I think mostly in the African American community, it was frowned upon as if like the girl that was in school, like, oh, she does this, oh, she does fellatio or whatever, right? And so it was put into a point that in the minds of especially like wholesome, like Christian women, you may say this too, like if this is true, so kind of verify this if it's true, but like from what I've heard is like that is something that's taught as something that's nasty. Don't do that. Even to a point that like one mom like caught her daughter like writing a note about that, like before text messages, right? So we used to write like notes and stuff like that. She called her daughter, like, "Oh, that's nasty. Don't never let me hear you putting your mouth on nothing." So thinking about that, like not just in marriage, but just anytime in general, right? And so it just kind of gets put there. Have you heard of any of those things too? You think it's true? You've heard? Yes, no, you. No, I want to hear just one more take. Just I think have you heard about that? Like coming up, you ever heard of it? Okay, I'll take it in. So, but that has been the truth there. So the part B to that question is about the scripture piece of that, right? So I did find some scripture to that in Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 3. So write that down if you want to have this. And this is not saying that. First, I'll read the first thing we're talking about, right? So it says, like an apple tree among the trees of the forest is my beloved among the young men. I delight to sit in his shade, and his fruit is sweet to my taste. That's the Bible, y'all. I'm reading from this is scripture for people who gonna throw your stones at me. Throw them anyway. But this is the Bible. You throw at the Bible with me, all right? But this is, I'm going to read it one more time. Like an apple tree among the trees of the forest is my beloved among the young men. I delight to sit in his shade, and his fruit is sweet to my taste. You tell me what that means, right? Sweet to my taste? Hello. I'm telling you right now, it's talking about oral sex in the midst of this. And it's not, that's what I'm saying. We have to unlearn what we've learned so much before the past. Just like that freezes people up. I know people listening right now. You may not want to say you listen, but you listen to that point. You're asking that question. And I want to say this, right? I want to get this caveat. This does not say that point, but I'm saying your spouse has to do that. That's not what we're saying here. It's just saying that it is permissible in marriage, right? And so many times we come in with the shackles that have been given us through school, through our parents, through media, through different things that. And so breaking free from that. And it comes from what is the fear behind it. And so let's say this person says, what's the question again? Or says, okay, you may be for or you may be against it. I don't know. But just in terms of like asking the question about, Miss just talked about being selfless in that point. Like, so if you're tired in that situation, right? Like sometimes you got to go through it, and like sometimes the other person has to understand that person is tired. So it's the same thing here, right? So that may not be your thing. It may not be your thing, but I would push you to find solutions and not excuses in that situation. I'm saying, hey, why is it not my thing? Is it something that has been taught to me?
Oh, that'd be a shirt. Solutions, not excuses.
It is. I'm working on that too. We got some shirts with the yams coming up. So that's coming up. We'll let y'all know very soon. Very soon. We have some shirts. Listen, we gotta. It's just this gets me. This really gets my blood going because I think people, there's a fear that, especially Christian people, put on folks that says like this, you can't talk about that. And I would want to, like, nobody ever talked to me. And I think they probably talk to you though, because I think they put that. But I think just in general, this is a conversation we gotta have. We gotta take the taboo off this. If the church can't talk about it, it's talking about it in the world. And one thing I see is in most churches, those children ministries be packed. Huh? And these kids ain't Jesus.
I'm ready. So
These kids ain't Jesus. Hold on, I have one more scripture right
Okay.
here. One more scripture. So that's Songs of Solomon 2:3. One more, Song of Solomon 4:16. Right? That's on the. I did on one side. Let's get the other side. Somebody's like, well, that's just for the men. Let's see on the other side. So fellas. All right, DJ Khaled. Awake north wind and come south wind. Blow on my garden that its fragrance may spread everywhere. Let my beloved come into his garden and taste its choice fruits. Y'all hear my feet? Oh, that's Song of Songs 4:16. Song of Songs 4:16. Awake north wind and come south wind. Blow on my garden. And its fragrance may spread everywhere. Now, you feel a little bit uncomfortable over here. You've been kind of quiet.
I am fine.
You haven't said a word over here. Why?
We will take questions.
Okay.
So I did one, you doing two. So yeah.
I know, but I want to hear a female take. They want to hear a female take. So don't let the people stop you. Let my beloved come into his garden and taste his choice fruits. Fellas, God made that fruit. Taste it. Taste of it. And so, but if you look at the anatomy of a woman, though, there are nerve endings. I think it's 4,000 nerve endings in the clitoris of a woman that is designed nothing else but for pleasure. Listen. I don't just show up on this show. I do research on what happens here. We're gonna have an intelligent conversation, whether you want to or not. And you're here now, huh? So there's 4,000 nerve endings on the clitoris of a woman that is only designed for pleasure. Nothing else. There's no other function on that body but for pleasure. So fellas, if you are the one that is like, nah, I can't do it, and she's trying to push that, I want to push you
8,000 nerve endings.
8,000. So I was have 8,000 nerve endings, and then you notice in the penis it's not as many as I think it's like maybe 2,000 I think in the nerve end of a penis, but it's that's what I'm saying. God designed sex, y'all. We got to get out this boat right here. Then I appreciate you jumping in with the nerve endings there. I want to make sure I didn't lose you there for a second. You got quiet. But as I said, and so those conversations like this, having a conversation like real conversation, right? And so it may be a red light for you right now. You're like, hey, this is something I ain't working on, something I ain't doing right. Oral sex, no. The Lord, the devil. My grandma told me the devil is oral sex. Like, was grandma in the scripture when she said that? Or was it just her just trying to protect? And I get what they tried to do. They didn't want you to be all out there before your time. But marriage is a different thing. And many of us can't flip that switch, right? Some people get married like, oh, yeah, it's a buffet. It's a buffet now of what's going on. But for other people, you've been told sex is nasty, sex is destructive, or sex is disgusting. And then when you get married, your spouse is asking for it, and you don't know what to do. Hopefully these scriptures free you up in the sense of that. So I'm read them back one time. Solomon chapter 2, verse 3 is it's Song of Songs 4:16. Did you know the scripture, Dana, before I read those? Did you know those?
I'm familiar with a Song of Solomon and Song of Songs.
No, I'm talking about those particular verses there. I know you.
No, I'm not. I wasn't not those particular verses. No. But I mean, I know.
Not you, right? Not you. What do you think people are thinking as they hear those verses right there? What do you think on both sides?
My prayer is that it definitely confirms that it's okay. You know, that it's okay that between two, in a biblical marriage, that it's okay. So
Lord, what you getting down? I love. That's why I love God. People are like, why you go so hard? That's one of the many reasons. But God, too awesome. A man listen to the episode now, he's like, I'm gonna go listen to every episode now. Go back and listen. Now, we don't talk about this every episode, but I appreciate you if you listen for the first time or you just listen to this clip that we talked about right now. So yeah, thank you, Mr. Jumping in.
Of course.
I get into it. And somebody, I don't know if you want to say just any one thing to a woman who is still struggling with this. This is a C drive thing. Anything that's a core of who you are, it challenges to the core.
I would say that, again, it goes back to communication with each other.
Yes.
And making sure that both people are on the same page when it comes down to being intimate with each other, whether it's orally or physically, or just make sure you both are on the same page. Because I think a lot of times, the man may be okay with it, but the woman may not be okay with it, or vice versa or whatnot. So again, it goes back down to communication. And at the end of the day, what you guys decide to do in your bedroom is totally up
or your
to
couch or kitchen.
It's totally up to to the two people that's involved. I think again it goes back to communication. Communication is so important, when it comes down to being intimate with each other. Because ladies, the men can't read your mind, and men, can't read, the lady's mind. So, or vice versa or whatnot. So you have to be able to make sure that, you communicate like, okay, I like this or I don't like this. Or I love when you do this, I don't like when you do this. And I think it goes to both sides.
There you go. So saying that, don't force them to do it either.
Right.
Like don't be when they
don't
sleep.
Catch a charge.
don't be sleep forcing them to do it. But having that conversation, like you said before, what I'm thinking now, because this is one of the most questions I get all the time, and I think it comes to how do I ask my spouse? Let's say I've asked them one time before, and let's take the side of the person who's not pro oral sex at that point, right? Mm-hmm. What is something the person who's pro oral sex can say to the spouse that isn't, that doesn't feel too pushy, that doesn't feel like, hey, this is all I want, that could...
I think at the end of the day, you have to respect your spouse. So you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to respect your spouse, and you have to wait till he or she is comfortable to conducting that. Again, you don't want it to be a forced thing or anything like that. You just have to be able to communicate. This is what I desire, and then that person say, "Well, I don't feel comfortable with that." You have to be able to communicate with each other. I think that's the important part, because I think sometimes men, especially men, desire that it could become too pushy, and the lady again is just not comfortable with that yet. So I think again, it's talking about just communicating with each other's needs, explaining, and then I think there are surveys and those sort of things out there now that we even have done, where it was just like talking about sexual needs or whatnot, and basically I think you ranked on what is something that you would mind trying or something that is off limits. So maybe Jeff will be able to post that survey out there. But it was a good survey. It was like, it basically said, okay, I'm willing to try, even if I'm willing to try, or it's completely off limits for me. So don't even think about it. So, so I think that's a good thing to do as well.
And so also doing the work behind your no, right? So I totally agree with what she was saying there of like, don't push it. So as fellas or ladies, whichever one you are, like, don't push your spouse. But the person who's saying no, don't just say a no and just leave it at that, right? Like, do the work behind your no. I was just doing comedy today at a domestic violence type thing, and so many people have been through sexual abuse or something, or like...
So you have to be careful,
And so doing the work behind that says like, hey, I'm going to go to counsel. I'm going to dig into the reason why I'm saying no is not because I don't like you. It's because somebody tried to do it to me before, or I saw something with my parent, or something that there's a negative connotation to that. Digging and having that conversation and go deeper in the midst of that. Yep. So dig into it. Don't stop there. Don't stop at the no. Don't push it. Okay. Go. Next.
Number 3, my wife will hold sex when I don't do all the things on the honey-do list. Should sex ever be withheld from your spouse, and when?
Oh, that's a good question.
I believe that's a very good question. I'm just going to go strictly to the Bible on this. 1 Corinthians 7:5. Do not deprive each other, except perhaps by mutual consent and for a time, so that you may devote yourselves to prayer. Then come together again, so that Satan would not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. So basically, you should not deprive, especially over a honey-do list. Make sure you do not.
Some people do it, though. Some people do it.
Well,
I know what I'm saying. I got you. No, I'm with you.
Make sure you do not deprive your spouse. Do not use that. It's kind of like when, sometimes when people use their children as bait, You know, especially if like that person is no longer together, and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, if you don't do da 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 da, you can't see your kids. Like that's pretty
Mm-hmm.
much to say you can't withhold intimacy
The
from,
yams.
if you know, from your spouse. You know, the only time,
Yams.
of course, you know, ladies, we have a certain time of time of month when our menstrual cycle comes on, of course, you know.
The devil.
You know, so and then another, you know, then another thing too, you know, especially if you are fasting and praying together and you know that sort of thing. So, but again, it's when you both have mutually consented to, hey, let's pray, let's fast. That, but again, it says make sure you come back together because otherwise the devil is still busy and he would tempt one of you.
Or both of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
or
probably one
both
because
of
the other
you.
person's not want to do it.
Yeah.
All right, what does that conversation look like then? Can we role play just that conversation of like, I'll be the one that says the no, and you have to like get me what you said. There's a great verse, right? So somebody's listening, like, okay, I'm gonna read this verse to my spouse right now. Look what the Bible say. You wrong. You wrong.
No, don't do that.
Don't use the Bible.
Don't do that. Don't
This is
use
just
the Bible
point of,
like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
exactly. So like, let's do a quick role play there. I'll be the no person. You try to convince me without forcing me through that point. So all of what you talk about now, we're gonna apply that so you can try this whole conversation. Now we'll practice it. So we'll take the tip of it. I'll be the no person, and so okay, she's my wife. I'm her husband. And so okay, so I'm just
Okay.
whoo, oh, long day today.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey.
oh, let me tell you something. I can't wait to get in this bed. I'm hitting this bed. I'm finna wrap my hair up. I'm finna wrap my beard. I'm finna wrap my beard up and go and put on my long John pajamas and go straight to bed. Hey, is there anything you wanted? You kind of stopped me for a second.
Yes.
Yes. How are you?
I.
You look so nice, especially when you sleep. Oh, I can't wait to hit that bed. Sleep. Yes, is something you wanted from me?
So, I really want us to be intimate with each other.
Okay, you have to speak up just a little bit. You have to talk a little louder. You know, my ears a little. I'm sorry. Back to the. Okay. Ooh, I'm sorry. What did you say?
I said it's time. It's time.
You're right.
And you know what
It is time to
is,
go to
it's
bed because I've
time.
been working with these kids
No,
all day today
no.
while you worked, and I thank you. I thank God for having a woman that works for our family so hard, and I was thanking him. I'm ready to go to sleep so I can thank him more.
Yeah.
Yes.
Listen to me,
Yes.
babe. It's time.
It's time.
It's time.
What's the time for? Because my clock says it's time. If I go to sleep right now, this second, I
Sir,
get 7 hours and 15.
Hush.
15
You
seconds.
talking too much, okay?
What you trying to do?
You know what I'm trying to do.
No, you have to be explicit with me. I don't know what you.
Anyway.
Oh boy! See, give Mr. a round of applause. Listen, y'all are. I want to thank y'all because y'all are bringing her out of this shell with layers and layers and layers of years and years on this. Together. Come on, put your hands together.
I already did.
I want to exhale with you. Let's exhale together. Don't worry. Okay, grab your spouse's hand or your mate's hand or whoever you listen with. I want you to grab their hand. I want you to take a deep breath in.
Ooh,
And I want you to exhale and say, sex is okay, okay? 1, 2, 3, sex is okay. Somebody didn't even say that. You're wrong for it. You're wrong for it. So,
Okay.
yeah. So, she said that this time. She grabbed a thing and said this time. So, okay. Okay. So,
so basically, you know, go back to that scripture, you know, so ultimately, no, you should not withhold being being intimate with your significant other.
Unless y'all agree on it, and it's the
Yes.
time y'all pray, or
Right.
like, she didn't get a cycle. Some of y'all don't even care about the cycle, and that's y'all place, and I'm not here to judge. Do what you do. So, I know some people like that, but that's cool. So,
All right, number 4.
This is our last question right here. We don't have time for this right now. We'll get some more coming through. Please follow us on social media. Send us your questions. Right, number 4. Our child is young and sleeps with us every night. What can we do so our sex life doesn't die? So what I'm hearing you say is you have a small child. Hopefully it was in the ages of 1 to 2. Probably around that side. Hopefully they're not 16 years old still sleeping on the bed. Some of the problem, right? But I know couples like that too who have struggled with I love my child. It's one or two of the spouses. Like, I don't want them to. There's so many stories they hear about the child flips over on their stomach and suffocates. So then I want to apologize to anybody who's been through that process. God be with you at all as well. And so we've been there before, right? And so when we had our first child, we went through 3 miscarriages before that. Well, two miscarriages before that. 2 miscarriages before. And so had a baby. Thank God for the baby. We're there. And the first month, second month, like the baby's not in our bed. We had like a bassinet or something right beside, which was cool. You go right beside that. And if you adventurous, hey, that baby won't remember anything. So you don't have to worry about paying for counsel later. Get what you got to get in there. But some people have the hang up like, oh my goodness, I did not want my child to see the yams anywhere where it needs to be. And I want to pray for you right now. And say, you got to get out of that. But if you can't get out of that, you got to move that child. When our child was about 6 months, Mrs. Mister went to D.C. to see a friend, and I moved that child out of the bedroom there to have nights that they slept in the other room. That once again, that the wife had me building beds. Thank you, Josh, my partner. Josh came over and helped me build that bed. To Josh was standing. Appreciate you. Shout out. And so we built a bed, crib, little dresser. She ordered all those little colors and stuff. Oh, it's so pretty. And the baby never sleeps in there. And that's somebody I'm talking to right now. You got a 9-year-old who ain't never slept in their bed. Shame on you. So get that child out of there and get that. Because you know what? You know what happens? This is what happens. Love your child, but the only person that you chose is your spouse. Oh, I said something. The only person you just received the other, you received the baby. You just got who you got. You roll the dice and those little things come through. You got them. You had no choice to get them. You chose your spouse. Continue to choose your spouse. That means choosing them over having that little snot-nosed baby in the bed. Y'all snot-nosed. All of them. I'm talking to your baby. If you listen right now, yeah, you got a little snot-nosed baby. And you may be listening to this episode with the baby in the bed with you right now. Put that baby out there. Pray for that baby. The Lord take care of that baby and get that baby out of there. So,
all right.
So, what you got to take on that? I want to hear your point of just any little.
No, I think that's good. Like, make sure you, yeah.
Put that baby out. Go and tell the ladies, because they need to hear from you. Because they think I'm comical. I tell jokes on comedian and stuff. Look in the camera and tell. Hold on, point your finger there.
To my dear sisters, ladies.
Point to them. They won't hear you unless you point.
No. I would say eventually yes. You have to.
Don't tell them eventually.
You have to put them in their own room.
Wow.
And there's so many, technology is so big now. We got cameras where you can see the baby.
Oh, yeah.
You got monitors. We got all of that. Good. So the baby will be fine. You got to pray, and the baby will be fine. You're gonna still hear the baby. All those things. So the baby will be fine. Like Malia, like he said, it was 6 months. So
peace out.
Yes, but at the time, and the baby, they never did sleep in the bed with us because my concern at the time was one of us would be so tired we have no roller on the baby. So that's the reason why we always just had like a bassinet or a crib in our room, and that's where Malia and Jay slept. And so it worked out. And then of course we transferred them on over to their rooms.
I did.
And so, but it's so funny though. To this day, Malia loves affection and she loves being close to you. So she still gets up in the middle of the night and creeping.
I was trying to put broken glass,
she's 7,
barbed wire on that side. Put one thing too. The greatest thing about sex is Vaseline. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you why. Vaseline, because you take that Vaseline and you put it on the outside of the door handle so the kid can't turn it. And you will be able to get those yams again. I'm telling you, for the man that's been yam starved, they ain't had no yams, just say this. If y'all ain't getting yams, at least ladies, tell them this. Say, hey, I missed when you did this. You talking about take a man to the moon. You talking about him going to work the next day. That's saying just that one thing and get to this point, right? Mm-hmm. So those are 4 questions we got a chance to address today. For time's sake, send us some more. We're definitely going to do this again. We jump into the episode about sex. So if nothing else, have that conversation, communication with this. So the love portion of this is take this episode. Well, you listen to it right now or listen to it together, listen to it apart, but have a time that you come back together to ask the questions. I want you to ask the question of saying, what is one thing that I've done sexually to you or with you or however your thing is that felt good to you? You hear that? You said that one more time. You did Rick Ross. Do it one more time. Do that one more time. One more. Come
I
on.
just said,
Now you said, Give me that. Do that, one more time. That's good. Oh! They get my gyrations going. See, listen, I'm totally not shy on sex at all. She's getting better. This is a better version. I appreciate you growing, coming out of your shell. A little bit more, but we're gonna come up.
No, this is the most you are to
No. You gotta speak life to that thing. So that's your love thing right there. So listen to this episode together or apart. Send this episode to them, but don't send it to them saying, hey, I would love to have a conversation with you, and set the date and time and come back and ask that question. What is one thing that I've done to you or with you that has made your toes curl that you love? And then ask them the second thing. It's the second question. It's very important. Ask them, what is one thing that you've been thinking that you would like to try? And be open to hearing their conversation. Don't shut them down. Don't push them down. But just having that conversation, like Mrs. Mister spoke about earlier, conversation rules the nation. I think that piece right there rules, and just the Bible said you free to get in there with your spouse. Mm-hmm. She tell my decaf right there. So do that. Nothing else. Do that. Communicate about sex. Sex. You want?
So
you gonna say sex one time for me? Just say it. What did the mention mantra? You gonna say sex? Look right here in the camera. Just say sex. At least 3 times.
So look at your spouse and say,
you gonna say it?
I like you.
Hold on, I ain't get you. I'll go with you.
I love you. I want you. And sit.
Oh, she did it! My prayer warriors who've been listening to the episode, listen, y'all keep on praying. Oh, your boy is happy. Oh, I'm happy. Oh, you're good, God. Oh, Honda Shabbat. I'm sorry. But I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Oh, you see this tear drop out of my face? Oh, I'm so proud of you. You coming in there. The Lord is good. He's good. And he's worthy to be praised. You use those scriptures today. Meditate on those. You killed him now. You killed him now. She said, That's the sign. Every woman has a bad signal. We'll talk about that later. We got the that means this episode got her juices going out there. That's what does that. It's okay. You're married. You're married. Look at it. I wish y'all could see her face if you listen to the podcast. But we're on YouTube as well, so both sides. So, okay, in the midst of mantra, if you arguing or you talk through this episode, this is the best you've been in a while. Regardless, anytime you have an argument, we want you to do this. Think of us. Look at each other in the eyes. Whether you hate each other, you love each other, you want to get a divorce, you want to go on forever, whatever. Look each other in the eyes every time you get through leaving each other. Look each other in the eyes and say, I like you. I love you, and I want you. Sex. Mwah. Woo! Oh! Woo! Y'all felt that? Oh! Woo! You ready to go in there?
Jump! All right. Thank you.
Listen,
we love you guys. We go back to other stuff.
We're gonna come back to some more, but this has been a great series. If you missed this part, go back and listen to other episodes. This is episode 22 episodes in the books. Thank y'all for following. Please share another human. And we thank you. You are the reason why we want all marriages to not just survive but thrive. And we're trying to do it ourselves. We go through a lot. So, sing us out, Miss.
Laugh, learn, love.
Sing it right.
Laugh, learn, love.
Talk about sex.
Laugh, learn, love.
On the Mr. and Mrs. Mr. Podcast Show.
Laugh, learn, love.
We talking about sex.
Laugh, learn, love.
Even oral sex.
Laugh, learn, love.
It's the Mr. and Mrs. Mr. Podcast Show. Oh, yeah.
And that's our show.
We love you. God loves you. There ain't nothing you can do about it. Stay tuned. Next week, guys. Another great episode. We're digging a lot of good stuff coming up. You missed any episodes, go back and watch them, all right? We love y'all.